Well, I'm not as, these guys are like professional. This young guy here sitting here speaking, looking out, talking. I'm like sitting here. I got my cue cards. They say just breathe on them so I don't hyperventilate. And but it's for me, it's very emotional. And I want to thank Heidi because I almost backed out last night because I had my identity stolen. And I felt very, I don't know, I just had a feeling where I just felt exploited. And then this is hard for me because I'm a very private person. I'm not a person to do this, but I feel very strongly that this is something that needs to be done and said, and people need to hear about it, and people need to know, because as so many things that you said I can relate to and I understand, because it's true. The biggest thing that everyone in this room needs to know is you can't help anybody. You have to decide. You had to decide. You were done. You have to decide. I mean, there's resources that help, and there's so many great books, and there's so many things that help, but you have to do it. So I'm going to get to my cards because I'll forget what I'm talking about, and then we'll all be lost. So, but thank you, everyone, for coming, and it is definitely a huge epidemic, and I want to tell just one quick thing that's not on here, but I have had a surgery about 8 months ago on my neck, which I'll discuss, and I also broke my back, hemorrhaged 2 discs, and a few other things. And I'm still not done with surgeries, but I'm refusing any type of opioids. I just had a surgery, not this past Monday, but the Monday before. So, but they, say, do you need the prescription, this and that, and I also had dental work done a couple weeks ago, and said no, which is not easy. And my doctor, who's fantastic, his name is Dr. Fabulous because he's just wonderful, and he said, did you try the patches? And I said, while I was in a rehab, I did. He said, did they help? And I said, yeah, they did. And the insurance gave us such a hard time getting these patches that you would have thought they were buying us an island in the Bahamas. I mean, honestly, it took a week. My doctor had to write a letter, and then they had the audacity to say, well, why doesn't she just take Percocet? What? I mean, I'm sorry, that is appalling to me. I did get the patches, and they do work. They just don't stick very well. But, I mean, that fact right there is like, come on, are you kidding me? Like, you want to put me back on them? So, I apologize if I don't look up. Some of this is a little bit difficult for me. There's so many people getting addicted to all types of opioids, as you mentioned. They come in so many different forms. And a lot of people don't realize that, like fentanyl. They don't realize even what they're doing. And especially even young people at parties. They don't even, it comes with a different name, so maybe it's something else, Like, I once got tricked to get put on an antidepressant. I went to my gynecologist, and they said, well, let me put you on the Sarafem. And it had a big, pretty flower on the box. And she said, it'll make you feel a lot better. After I had my second son, I had some depression. I get home. It was Prozac. So, I mean, you don't even really, unless you do some research, you don't know. You don't know. So you have to be your own advocate in so many ways, period. And here I want to make it very clear. I speak for myself. I'm not here to judge anyone or debate anyone. There's very different reasons people do get addicted to opioids in the different types, the situations, but it doesn't matter because we all end up in the same boat and the same type of pain for many, and we all have the same loss in the family pain. Opioids, it was said already twice, they don't discriminate, race, sex, age, how much money you have, where you come from, your family. But I'm very thankful to be here today because I should not be here today. I shouldn't. And I'm here tonight because I want to give back, as emotionally hard as it is for me. I tell a little joke, hope doesn't offend anybody. I always say, Mike's saying, "Oh, Chris, come on," because I'm always, you got to have a sense of humor. My father told me, if you don't have a sense of humor, you're not getting through this life. So I always say, God doesn't want me yet, and the devil's afraid I'm going to take over. So that's why I'm here. So I did do a little statistics, but I was aware that you were going to be here, and I you pull things up, and sometimes they're a little different, but I am going to mention one thing, and it's absolutely shocking. It's absolutely shocking. I just, like I said, I don't want to get into the whole thing, so instead I'm going to get into politics now. Actually, it is political. I really don't care who Trump's sleeping with or slept with, but he is, or passed, you might know, a law for serious opioid dealers. They will be up for the death penalty. And that sounds like, wow, that's strict, but, you take a drunk driver driving down the road, kill a family, or kill one person, and they can be up for it. And this is the one thing that just knocked me off my feet when I was doing the research, that if you take one opioid type drug dealer, whatever, fentanyl, whatever, oxycodone, Percocet, Vicodin, whatever you want, whatever your choice of drug is, they can kill, if they've had a long, good run, 2,000 to 5,000 people. They are responsible for that many deaths. Now, you kill one person in a car because you're drunk. You kill that many people, you should have the death penalty. I think it sounds pretty good, actually, and obviously I'm not very liberal. So that's all the statistics you're going to get out of me. I'm here to tell you my story. In 2017, I did CrossFit. I'm very active, I like to be physical and competitive. I'm very, very, very competitive, and I was actually competing in a CrossFit type thing. And I flipped into a upside down handstand to do push-ups. Yeah, I'm going to be 48 on Sunday. I really shouldn't have been doing that, but I had broken my wrist a few times, and it rolled, and I basically just pile drived. I cracked many discs in my neck, and one of them happened to crack in half, almost like a sand dollar, if you can imagine, and it had a pointy end, and it was puncturing my esophagus. I had an MRI done, and within, it was like a whirlwind of spin from the reading to the neurosurgeon to the surgery. It was just all so fast and happened so fast. I guess basically, I'm running through all this. I woke up in so much pain. I have given birth twice to both two sons, and not any mother in here knows how painful that can be. And pain is you look at it in a whole other way. Nausea and pain become totally different after you have a child. When I woke, I literally grabbed the nurse in the recovery room by the arm and said, I said to her, am I dead? Am I in hell? Did I die? Because I couldn't imagine the pain could be this bad. And she just pushed my morphine button and walked away. And then also along with it was, because the damage was so bad, by the time I had my surgery, my entire left arm was paralyzed, in a sling paralyzed. And after realizing I am in so much pain, but I am apparently alive because I'm here, and I clenched my fist and I lifted my arm, and I was never so thankful in my life, because I just couldn't imagine, not having the use of one of my arms for the rest of my life. And no sooner the surgeon came in, who of course they give you that goofy juice before you go in, and I'm asking him out on a date to go get hamburgers and French fries, and he goes, and the nurse after, she goes, "Oh, believe me, I've heard much worse. That was really innocent." And I would do. It was humiliating, though, to me. He began to tell me that it was much more involved. The hour-and-a-half surgery turned into 8 hours. 8 hours. I felt, even through the pain that I was in, I felt more sorry for my husband because they literally closed down the waiting room and left, like turned out the lights and left. And when someone says an hour and a half, and then they shut off that thing where it tells you how you're doing on that screen, he thought I died, and they were afraid to come out and tell him. They literally thought, I would think that, an hour and a half, 8 hours, and you don't hear anything, and no one knows anything. Apparently I didn't, again, probably for the same reason of the joke. And he went on to tell me that it was more involved, and he put a titanium plate in my neck, which is still very difficult to get used to. And he used a lot of bone marrow from my own hip to build my discs, and my hip still hurts, but I read up on it, and they say it's excruciatingly painful. It's been 8 months since that surgery, and like I said, I had another surgery last Monday. I still have another one, probably 2 to go, without, and I will be doing it without the opioids. And when I went to speak with him after my surgery, he told me, 1 year recovery, and I said, oh no. He goes, oh no, it's not up for debate. It's literally a 1 year recovery. You have it. And I said, because I just couldn't think of being like a kind of an invalid for that long. I stayed in the hospital. I was supposed to go home on a morphine drip for 2 days, and that didn't even really cut the pain. He gave me a dozen Percocets to go home with, and he said, don't call me and don't ask for any more. Go to pain management. Now, what's pain management? But I sure did. I got that number. I went to pain management. For 5 months, every 6 hours, I popped an oxycodone. And it was the pill it's not the Percocet or the Vicodin, it's the little tiny one that has no fillers or anything in it. And I didn't care if the apocalypse happened. I didn't care. I didn't care about anything. You say that, I didn't care. I could have cared less about anything. And at that point, maybe 2 months in, I had no idea how addicted I was to everything. And until about 2.5, 3 months in, I realized, because I started thinking to myself, I have to start weaning myself off of these. I couldn't. Every time I did, I felt like I got drugged behind somebody's truck, like they chained me to it and drugged me a mile down the street. My body hurt that bad. Not even my neck or the things, but my body. I physically ached. So what happened was, in my attempt to trying to get off of them, I went into the bathroom and I fell, and that's when I broke my back. I broke the 2 lower discs in the bottom, that's on your sit bone, and I hemorrhaged 2 in the middle. And I called the neurosurgeon, and he's just humored me with an MRI, and I know he did, but he said, well, let's just take a look. And I did. I really did. I broke another 2 discs that are still broken right now as I'm sitting here. And I knew in my heart at that time I was in a lot of trouble. I stopped trying to wean myself off because of now the pain with my back, because of my back. And the summer turned to fall, and fall turned to winter, and the holidays were coming up, and I'm still on this regimen. And I know some people can say, what doctor is doing this? And I don't blame him, because you know what? I would go, he'd check me out, and I guess somehow, somewhere with your heart rate and your blood pressure, they could tell that you're still bad, and this was a horrifying procedure. And he gave it to me, but I couldn't miss a pill. The night of December 9th, I was faced with a family situation that was somewhat probably brought on because of my behavior, but I will not hold full responsibility for it. And I couldn't deal with it. I couldn't deal with what happened to me. It was such a horrible situation that happened to me that night with my family. And you know what? My pills, they basically like morphed into they said, you don't have to deal with this. Why are you, you've suffered enough, you've been in so much pain. Coincidentally, my prescription was filled that day, so it was 120 pills. I swallowed every single one of them in 2 swallows. I still don't know how I did that, but I did. I lay down on the bed, knowing full well, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. And I lay there for just a little, maybe probably less than a minute, but felt like a half an hour. And something just inside of me said no. And I know, for me, I'm a woman, I have faith, and I know it was God. And my husband was sleeping, and I woke him, and he looked at the bottle, and it was empty. And all I remember is just, no. And what have you done? What have you done? And I just, to myself, they lied. They told me, you don't need this pain. You suffered enough. Now you have to have surgeries on your back. Give it up. And I did. I gave it up. But I guess I didn't want to die, because I woke him up. And I, to myself, lost consciousness, but I'm told I was up and walking around, not being very nice. I don't really remember much. I know when he was on the phone immediately. I know an ambulance was there within like 1.2 seconds, because it felt like it, because time's warped. And actually probably was there, as good as they are. And the only thing I really remember is just all the Narcan shots, all the shots to my chest, like I counted 4, and it was lights out. I know there was more. I was in the ICU. They worked really hard on me, and I know they had to, because they saved my life. And when I woke from the pain in my chest, my ribs, I swear I think some of my ribs were broken, and my hands were shot out from IVs. But they saved my life. They saved my life. And I don't know how they did with that amount, because nothing came out. It was all in my system. But it was also only the beginning for me. And I had to withdraw from 5 months of round-the-clock oxys, and the nightmare began. I was in the ICU, to the regular hospital, to rehab. My favorite. That was my favorite part. That vomiting, diarrhea, hot sweats, fever, cold sweats, shaking, rocking, insomnia, heart palpitations, fear, anxiety, which felt like you were having a heart attack. And the best part was I walked the halls for 3 days straight, 3 days and nights straight. I would fall to my knees from exhaustion and crawl up the wall to get back up to keep walking. And it was a bonus. This is the bonus part. It was Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, Christmas night. And I called my son a couple days before Christmas, and he's my oldest, he's 23. And I said to him, I said, sweetheart, I'm not going to be home for Christmas. And there was just dead silence, and then just a what? You're not going to be home for Christmas. And dead silence. And I said, I went to say I'm sorry, and the phone went dead. And my son hasn't spoken to me since then. And it is April, and neither has my other one. So when you talk about loss and family and how it affects. I walk around with a broken heart. I tell my husband, my light, like, is going out every day. It goes out just a little bit more. I try to get out of bed sometimes, and I can't, but I make myself. And I put things on shelves. I put things in boxes in my head to get through it, because I raised them for 20 years, because my son went off to college at 18 to Rutgers, and my other son I raised till he was 18. And I am dismissed. I'm dismissed. It took 3 months for me to have my last withdrawal symptom. 3 months. I used to have stations because I would wake up so drenched. Like, I'd set them up before I go to bed. Like, I put a pair of pajamas on one side of the bed, and he would sleep in the other room. I put him on the other side of the bed, and then one on the couch. And what I'd do is I'd wake up, soaking wet, drenched, dry myself off, put on the new pair of pajamas, move to the other side of the bed, so on and so forth, repeat. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's just crazy. But I'm here, and I'll be 48 on Sunday. But this happened to me, and I like what you said because it's true. First of all, for myself personally, shouldn't I have known better to think that was going to end well? And people discriminate, and I'm not accusing anyone of it or pointing fingers, but they do. It's like you said, people think of somebody like what happened to me is like a junkie, like a person, like that's a mess, or on the street, you use that, I'm going to steal that from you, like laying on the street. I don't lay on the street. My bed even goes up and down. So, I mean, but it happened to me, and it's pretty scary, but it's the truth. We think that, a lot of people think that they're just invincible, and what I went through, but it's a lie. It's a lie. The drug is a lie. Most drugs are lies. They're lies. They lied to me. That bottle lied to me. I swear to God, it even talked. I mean, it's a lie. And the one thing, and I think this is something you guys really stated so clearly, is, you don't think it's going to happen to you, and you think your kids are good, and they are good. Your son is good. He just fell into a trap, and so are you. But the thing is it happens, and a lot of people, like I said to my husband before we came here, I said, even if it's just somebody that says, hey, my husband had knee surgery, a couple months ago or a year ago, and there's still a script of, Percocet sitting in the drug cabinet. Get rid of it. Get rid of it. Get rid of it, all of it. Be aware of your kids, and don't think for 1 second. 1 second. We are the biggest, most deceptive, most lying, most conniving people on the face of the earth. Addicts. We will pull the wool over your eyes so fast. He's got to laugh inside, because before I got everything got straightened out, he'd say, "How the hell did you find that?" And I said, "Oh, you'd have to dig it under the house for me not to find it." We are, and if your child does have a problem, or they become to have one, don't think just because they're looking you in your eyes and you love them and they love you, that they're not lying their asses off, because if they're addicted, they are. So be smart. Don't be fooled. Mine came from a doctor. You can come from anywhere. You mentioned the black market. You could do anything. Watch your teenagers. And just the biggest thing, don't think just because, middle class, upper class people, you know, it's not gonna happen. It's gonna happen if it's gonna happen, if the opportunity arises. And it happens for a lot of reasons. People use it to escape, people use it to numb themselves, people use it because it just feels good. You even admit it. I like her honesty. Yeah, you know what? I did. I felt, like I said, I didn't give a friggin' Walking Dead outside my window. I could have cared less. I didn't care. Nothing. You don't care. You don't. But just be smart. Be smart. That's the only thing. I mean, for any of the parents who are out here, and then people that are younger, don't think, you know, you know what? I'm just gonna party with it, because you know what? Before you know it, Monday comes, and the party's over, but you still want it, and maybe even need it, because you've become physically addicted to it. And thank you. That's all I have to say.